It's really find your lane, find your specialty, know what you're good at, and everything else, find somebody else to do it. And it's going to be their specialty. That's what they do, period.
You're asking yourself, why am I doing this?
Smart people would know how to use all these different tools. They start with something small.
You'll never get your entire organization if you don't pull off operations. Don't give up.
It can be as small as that.
I think you guys are going to have a blast today.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Delegate That podcast, where we discuss the art and science of delegation, business management, and leadership. I am your host, Adam Labar, and today I'm looking forward to a wonderful conversation with Coach Michael Dill. Looking forward to learn a little bit more about what you've got going on and the wisdom that you have to share with us. So, Mike, if you can, please go ahead and introduce yourself and let us know about your business.
Certainly. My name is Coach Michael. I have been a certified award-winning business coach for 13 and a half years. The award-winning comes from each year we have a conference in North America, and I take a lot of pride in getting my clients up on stage to be the best of the best. There's usually about 30 different categories, and for the last 3 years in a row, I've had clients win awards. 2 last year, 1 the year before, 2 the year before, also in 2016. So the award-winning, I also won 2 awards. I won an Excellence Awards in 2016 and 2020. So, what I do is one thing, but the rewards and benefits my clients get is something totally different. So when they're up on stage, looking down and seeing they have been selected as the best of the best against a lot of other business owners that work at being their best, that's the shot. That's the limelight I want them to get. I want them to feel it, embrace it, because that's something that can never be taken away. So I take a lot of pride in that. That's where the award winning comes from.
Do you feel overwhelmed with mundane tasks that eat up your valuable time? It's time to reclaim your schedule and focus on what truly matters. Get your time back with elite remote talent without a time zone hassle. Delegate $10 an hour tasks to focus on more $1,000 an hour tasks. Schedule your free strategy call at wisevas.io.
No, I love that. So, how do you make sure, as you're sitting here doing some of your coaching? I mean, one of the things that I know that I want to highlight with you is some of the leadership side of the house. So what is it that you do in your coaching experience that helps those folks end up on the stage and be highlighted? What are some of the key things that those partners that you're with are actually executing on that help them get on stage?
Well, a lot of the do stuff, obviously, build a great team, build a great company. But the first thing I do is I actually ask them, where do you want to be on stage next year? I have them pick a category. For instance, 2016, Young Entrepreneur of the Year. He goes, okay, Coach, I want to be Young Entrepreneur of the Year. So, okay, let's get your ass up there. And everything we would do, I would have him manifest that. And then, but Matt, let me see, 6 months later, Brad Sugars, the founder of Action Coach, was in Miami. I said, Matt, you need to come to Miami. I'm going to introduce you to Brad. He goes, well, what am I going to say? I said, well, you're going to tell him when you meet me in Orlando, you're going to be handing me that Young Entrepreneur of the Year award. And that's exactly what he said. And in Orlando in 2016, when he won, hey, Brad, I told you. So really manifest that. And what that does is just the idea of being Young Entrepreneur of the Year. You're going to have to be your best. And that's stepping up as a leader, stepping up as a manager, stepping up with your organization, putting the systems, the structure, solutions in, creating the environment for your team to elevate themselves. So being on stage is more about not the moment, but knowing what you've done to get there, that you've done the work. You've been in the military, so you know what it's like. There's certain things you have to do the work. So then when you show up, you just naturally show up as a leader, an entrepreneur, somebody at your best because you've done all the work. And so that's one of the things I do, but a heavy manifestation. I have them write it down. The last year's winner, Female Entrepreneur of the Year, I had her write down her acceptance speech a year in advance. So it was, she was expecting to be there.
what gets focused on gets accomplished. So even if you can make that happen, then go for it, right? Bring me through what it looks like when you first take on one of these clients and you're starting. Hey, like, I'm Coach Michael. This is what we're planning on doing. How do you kind of break down what it is that they're doing so you can ensure that you're aligning up the right priorities for them?
Certainly, the first thing is I'm very clear on the type of clients I like to work with, and when we do sit down. The first thing they need to do, we have a little conversation, maybe about 15 minutes. They get to know me, I get to know them, bunch of questions asked back and forth. Then I have them fill out a 4-page questionnaire. So that gives me, number one, it forces them to slow down and think about where they're at, where they're going, what their challenges are, what their opportunities are. And it forces them to do a little bit of a brain dump of some of the things circling in their head and put it on paper. Then once I receive it, gives me a chance to digest everything. And then we have about a 10-minute phone call and we fill in any gaps based on what I see. Then we sit down for 90 minutes and we really get clear on what they do well because there's things we do well and that's what serves us. And then there's things that we struggle with and that's what costs us stress, time, energy, and money. And once they get clear on the things they struggle with, I have them related to a monetary number. Like, if you don't fix this, what do you think you have left on the table in the last year or two? So they get clear on that. And then we get clear on, okay, where do you want to go in a perfect world? And so we get that destination mastery in. And as I'm going through that, and we go through some other ways of how to increase their business, get more clients, revenues, profits, I will really know where I need to go with this particular person. Some large organizations, usually they have a challenge with team. A lot of different divisional managers, a lot of different players, not understanding communication styles and so on. So I'll go there first. A smaller company, it might be time or money. So if somebody doesn't fully understand their numbers, we're going to go there first because you need to know your numbers. If somebody's not really organized with their time, we need to go there first. Because if you're not efficient and intentional with your time, it's going to parlay into everything else you're doing and sabotage your success. So as I'm really getting to know these folks, I'll know where to go first. And that is exactly where we're going because they're paying me to get the most bang for the buck. And the things that sabotage their success the most, that's where we first go.
All right. So you'd mentioned in there, and I want to go down the sabotage of success, but before that, I want to peel over. You'd mentioned asking them where they want to go, right? Oftentimes, when I talk to folks or I'm coaching folks, like they don't actually know where they want to go; they just know what they don't want, right? So how do you kind of guide them down that route to really understand where they actually do want to go? Because like maybe it's not $1 billion company, maybe it's just being happy with one thing or another. Like how do you actually break that down for them?
The first thing is I have to make it real simple. I asked somebody if they're sitting in my office, I say, so let me ask you a question. When I sent you an invite to my office, what was the first thing you got? Well, I got your address. Okay, great. And then what'd you do? Well, I plugged it into my Google Maps, my car. Right. And then what happened? And my Google Maps showed me how to get here. Oh, perfect. So you're sitting here at the desk in my office now, right? Yeah. Huh. Perfect. So your organization, your company, the one vehicle that you put the most sweat, time, energy, effort, and money in, you haven't plugged in your destination yet? So I'm curious, where are you going? And if you're not sure where you're going, how the hell are you going to align your team to follow you and help you get there? So I put this little analogy in the head like, yeah, that doesn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense, does it? Then we'll start talking about, say, okay, 5 years from now, 10 years, do you want to sell your company? Is this something that you have a particular number, EBITDA, valuation, time frame that you want to scale this up to? Do you want to do this through acquisitions? Is this going to be something you're going to transfer to somebody, transition? So I really started getting them clear because the first step in an organization is mastery. And there's 4 components of mastery. And this is what everyone needs to understand. The 4 components is money mastery, knowing your numbers inside and out. Time mastery, being very effective, efficient with your time. Destination mastery, knowing exactly where you're going with the organization. And delivery mastery, delivering your goods and services to your clients and your prospects. And I have them rate themselves on a scale of 1 to 10. 10, you're a rock star, 1, you're not. And that immediately shows me where they're failing. And if they have any 6s or 5s or 7s, they need to get them sharpened up to 9s and 10s, because that is the foundation of the business. If the foundation is shaky, everything else you do, you're building on shaky ground. So let's get this stuff solid before we start moving on.
So let's say you're chatting with somebody and you realize that it's, man, oh man, your time mastery, because that's something you mentioned earlier. The time, like your time mastery is terrible. I will say that I have a tendency to have some of that time mastery failure, because I'll go down a rabbit hole and I'm like, oh, this is exciting. Let me chase this rabbit hole. But that's not what needs to be executed on today. How do you help make sure that we tweak, or how, if somebody's hearing this, how can they tweak with their time mastery and make sure that they're actually narrowing in the things that are actually needed for the business?
The first thing they have to understand is their DISC behavior. DISC is DISC. IS is people. CD is task. If there's any combination of IS because they're people, especially a high I, which is fast-paced people, they're, no offense, they're going to suck in time management, organization, and focus. Shiny object, whew, they can be drifted. So I have to get them aware of their own behavior, of how to make the shifts, first of all, to slow down and be more task-oriented. The second thing I do is I give them some exercises, some work to do, some reading, because I just can't give somebody the juice. Because if I give you the answers, you may or may not be able to embrace it. You might apply it, you might not. But if I give you work to do and homework, and you got to figure this stuff out and start doing quick time studies, everything you do in a day, the skill fund matrix of where your sweet spot is, that's giving you the most enjoyment and the biggest pay versus the low enjoyment and the low pay. When you get clear on all that, then we'll have a call and I'll show you all my hacks of how I've been very efficient with my time, like a default calendar, putting everything in a calendar. And if you're going to be speaking to people making sales calls, for instance, you want to be doing it in the morning because people are more decisive in the morning. If you're just going to be doing paperwork, do it in the afternoon. So really understand your energy where it's most, and having things on the calendar, because if it's not in the calendar, it's not going to get done. It's as simple as it gets. So have them do the work, get clear on their behavior, have them do the work, understand the value of time, do some reading, and then I'll ask them, what have you learned? What showed up for you? Then I'll show them all my hacks, and then we'll start going down the road of everything they need to do to get more efficient and intentional with their time.
I think by giving them the requirement to go look at it as well. I mean, you talked about, you could tell them what to do, but it doesn't mean they're going to necessarily do it. But if they are eye-opening to themselves and go, oh, I didn't realize I was doing this. You could tell them all day long, but until they see it themselves, it's similar to like, trying to coach my son on something in golf. It's like, I could tell him 100 times, but until another coach says it and then he sees it, he's like, oh, man, he won't ever say Dad was right, but he'll say, I get it now. I see it now. And it's like, man, we got to do the same thing in business sometimes.
Well, there's a great quote when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. I could tell you something a million times. Now I could slow down and ask you a couple of questions, and when I see your head tilt, say, "Wait a minute, that makes no sense." I said, "Yeah, I didn't think it made sense either. Why do I do that?" I said, "I don't know. I'm just asking the question. Why do you do it?" Mm-hmm. And now they're slowing down and analyzing what they're doing, and then they'll make the shift. But you could be sabotaging something every day, doing it all wrong every day. But if you're not aware of it, until someone slows you down and say, "Why are you doing that?" Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So would you like to change it now?
Yeah. Once they figure it out and get the aha, right? Now it's time to make a change.
Yep.
So you had mentioned like the high I person. So I took, I don't know, the DISC 50 times in my military career. And I was almost always a high D, high I. it was one of those things where I had to, okay, well, I know that's my default position. Doesn't mean that's where I'm going to have to be all the time, or that's where I'm at all the time, but I know that's my default. How do I kind of train myself? Or maybe somebody's a high S and a high C. Like, how do you train yourself to not only stick to your default, but kind of go outside of that a little bit so that you can help manage your team a little bit better, so you can see a little bit different perspective on your business?
Perfect example is I'm a DI also. So D is fast-paced task, I is fast-paced people. So now on Monday is the day that I do all my planning, where I go over my annual plan, where I go over my 90-day plan, where I go over my KPIs, where I'm dotting my I's and crossing my T's. So on Monday, I go into the CS mode. C is compliant, S is steady. So I need to get out of my normal behavior and go into that slow, compliant, dot the I's, cross the T's, steady behavior. I don't even put my phone on Mondays. I don't even let it ring. I don't want to be disturbed at all, because I'd rather be having conversations like this. So with the DISC, I go through a whole format. I'm certified in DISC of how people can use the DISC to get familiar with first their behaviors, and then all the behaviors, and then when certain situations come up, how they can shift to another behavior to be that person. And also to understand the other behaviors. So when they're communicating with somebody, you can't just go in there and talk fast to a high S. You need to slow down and understand it. So when they really get familiar with that, their own behavior and where to shift, and then they can slow down and actually do it. And it can be done because I've done it myself. So I just teach them exactly how to do it, how to use the tools so they could best benefit for themselves.
So this podcast is called the Delegate That podcast, right? So what I tend to do is if it's something that I don't really like doing, like you talked about your Mondays, you'll slow down and do those things. I'll tend to just delegate that out to somebody else to do that, and then it's out of sight, out of mind. What are your thoughts on just delegating a lot of that stuff? Obviously, you can't. Delegation is not abdication. I can't be completely away from it and never know about it. So, what are your thoughts on kind of delegating some of that stuff versus figuring out a way to work through it, or not?
Oh, well, perfect. DI, sales. Dot the I, cross the T. Certain DISC behaviors need to be in certain spots, period. I know what I'm good at. Everything else, I don't want to do. Mm-hmm. Period. Like, for instance, we're doing a podcast. You're going to send me a tape of this podcast. I'm going to send it to my marketing guys. They're going to slice it and dice it and make shorts out of it. They'll put it on my YouTube channel. They'll put it on Instagram. They'll put it on LinkedIn. I don't know how to do any of that stuff, nor do I care. Find out what I'm good at. Do that, and everything else, find the people that are good at that. So if my virtual assistant is an SC, slow, steady, compliant, is going to dot the I's and cross the T's. I don't want a DI virtual assistant. They'll be running around missing the same stuff I'm missing. So it's really find your lane. Find your specialty, know what you're good at, and everything else, find somebody else to do it. And it's going to be their specialty. That's what they do, period. I mean, 10X is easier than 2X. Stay in your lane.
I love it. And great book, by the way. Wonderful recommendation. The concept that I think a lot of people, especially at the beginning of their business, they don't understand is they have to do all of those jobs. You can't immediately delegate all of those jobs. So how do you kind of help coach those folks who are still at the beginning phase? They can't afford to have a COO to run the operations. They have to be the person who does all of it at the moment. Like, how do you help coach them to model that behavior that they need for those certain moments?
Well, being in a certain behavior, depending on what they're doing, but I also challenge them because you can get caught in that cycle of I got to do everything myself. I can't afford it. I mean, virtual assistants nowadays, $8, $9, $10 an hour. When I have my clients go through the time study, when they go through the skill fund matrix and they find themselves doing low enjoyment, low pay type work, I let them know how much that is costing them. So they might think, like, let's take a small company. Well, can't afford. No, you are losing money because you're bogged down in this. How about we get somebody at a low rate that can free you up more to do what you do best so they can do it so you can actually increase revenue. So, and sometimes people can get stuck in their heads like a high C, no one can do it better than I. So that person's going to get stuck doing a lot of stuff that they might not delegate because they don't think anyone can do it better than them. So they actually hogtie themselves and then give themselves an excuse of why they're so busy and don't have time to do something else. No, you've made a choice to do it because you don't think anyone else can do it. And if you're going to be a leader and grow this organization, you're going to have to find ways of delegating to others and letting them stumble or find the right people to do the work for you so you can go out and do what you do best.
Yeah, I think it was Cody Sanchez I heard talk about it once, where she said that while it may be true, especially right now, that nobody can do that better than you, there are also other things that you're going to have that are going to make you a whole lot more money than this. So why not hire somebody that does it 70% of the way that you would normally do it, and hire another person that could do the other 70. Now you have 70, 70, and 140, and you don't have to worry about any of it. Let those two knock it out of the park for you, and then you could focus somewhere else, or even, I've talked to other people about 10, 80, 10, where you do the first 10%, give it to somebody to run the next 80%, and then you do the last 10%. If you really just can't let control go of those things, just let them do the middle 80%, and then you can do the fine tweaking at the end. But man, oh man, let yourself go and do the high dollar productive activities than the low dollar ones.
I've gone through the same path.
Yeah.
I became a coach 13 years ago. It's not like I woke up the next day and had my act together in all these different aspects. I had to learn what worked. So I tell my clients, listen, I've already gone through it. Mm-hmm. Of course, I was able to achieve quicker results because I'm in an organization that's full of coaches and systems and strategies. So just follow my lead. I've already been there. It's like putting Red Bull in your business to speed up this process. And as a coach, I need to see how things can be. Yeah, I see how they are, and they see how they are. But I have to see how they can be and get them to see the same thing. Because if you stay in how they are, you can stay there for a long time.
Yeah, for sure. And it's hard to see outside of that when you're living in it. So how do you kind of, to go down that path, how do you walk somebody through seeing how it can be? Because it's so hard to see beyond that wall when you're in the middle of creating something, and it's all the sales things are not going the way you wanted them to, and you're bogged down in all the stuff, and you're going through all this, but you're on the outside going, no, I can totally see where this is going to turn into a multi-million-dollar business. How do you help somebody step away, look from the 30,000 foot view instead of being in the trenches?
Perfect example. I have this company I've been working with for a couple of years, and they were pretty much stuck at 70 million, and they had a log jam in manufacturing. And the attitude of everybody, all the leaders, the first time I did a leadership thing, the attitude is they were all stuck. They were all stuck. And I was telling the owner, I said, listen, we're going to focus on this and this alone, because you've been focusing on all these things. All we have to do, this is the logjam. Let's fix the logjam, and that's going to blow into everything else. So the last leadership meeting we did, I got them they have a really great core values, and they were kind of using them. They weren't fully using them. Nobody did a behavioral assessments. They were all these little things they were missing. So I got them figured. I said, every meeting, I said, my God, guys, with what you're doing and what you're setting up, a couple of hires here, this is $100 million before you know it. You think it's 5 years out. It is, before you know it, it's $100 million. The last meeting we had 3 months ago, the optimism was off the charts. And the accountant, which usually is the most conservative guy in the bunch, said, guys, I think we could do $100 million by the end of this year. Their whole mindset, as you start doing little things and keep talking about, what's the benefit of that? What are you seeing? What's the feeling of your team? They got some new machines. They walk around telling about the new machines and how they're going to speed things up and make your jobs easier. And energy is contagious. So when they start seeing the 100 million and start talking about it, then 2 people are talking about it, then 5, then the guys on the floor. Bam. I just get them to see how it is in a perfect world. Say, guys, this is where we're going. Don't worry. This stuff we're doing now, this is just stuff we got to do to get there. But 100 million, yeah, we're there. Let's just do the work. Instead of get them on the eye on the prize instead of the muck that they're in right now.
So you'd mentioned that leadership is one of the things that you love to be able to talk about and push, and that's been obvious. So what would be the top maybe 2 or 3 books that you would recommend folks, and why would you recommend those books?
I've read several. I wrote a book on leadership in 2021, Knock It Out of the Park Leadership. So that's a good one.
There you go. Great first recommendation.
Well, I've read books like Patton on Leadership. Patton on Leadership is a real good one. Lincoln on Leadership. With leadership as leaders, we have to look at the people that have executed flawlessly in the past. And there's certain examples of people that go down in history that are just extraordinary leaders. And those are the books I read, because I feel reading is the best form of leverage in the world. So, like, take Benjamin Franklin. He spent his whole life, and then he writes an autobiography. How many hours he took to write it, I don't know. But we can sit there and read this book and get all this lifetime of wisdom and ideas and strategies and his heartaches and his adversities and his wins, and absorb that in hours. So when I wrote my book, I realized at the end of my book, that we are a culmination of everyone we met on our road that we journeyed. All the books we've read, the podcasts we've attended, the webinars we've gone to, the notes we took and really resonated and took action on. So leadership is just find the examples of leadership that you want to be like. Because our job as leaders is to create other leaders. And that's where delegation has to be a component, because to build other leaders, you have to give them confidence. They have to feel good about themselves. And so that's really the first thing. Find the type of leaders that you like to be like. And also maybe some leaders that you think might be, if you're a softer type of person, get some of those hard leaders that you might avoid and learn about them. You'll be able to pick up some traits that are opposite to your type of behavior that could become very beneficial that you could adapt.
For sure. It's it's a military guy. We tend to have the hard charging, hard nosed type of leaders that we see, but that's not always what you need in life. It's one of the reasons I love listening to Jocko Willink, because he is that hard charger, hard nosed person when he needs to be. But man, oh man, can he just let back and just say, hey, you're running the show right now, and his humility is awesome. So I love listening to anything that he's got going on, because he seems to be able to adapt in all those forms.
There was one thing in that book that they had a mission go totally wrong, and he took it. He went in there and said, no, it's me. It's all me. He didn't lay any of it on his guys. That's leadership. When we do great, guys, awesome. When we do bad, I'll take the heat. I'll learn, because it's an opportunity for us to get better. Some people avoid the confrontation or the things that go wrong. No, embrace it, hug it. That's an opportunity for you to get stronger and better. I mean, military, for a fact.
For sure. And I try to teach that to my kids. I try to tell my kids all the time, like, fail often, fail forward, learn from it, embrace it, realize that that's just part of life. I told my oldest recently, I said, if you want 100 on all your tests, I'll put you back in kindergarten math. That won't be a problem. You get 100 on all your tests. It'll be super easy for you. So that's not what you want in life. You want to grow, you want to build, you want to do better. Like it's okay to get a 60 once in a while. Like, do we want to sit around as a 60? No, we want to learn from it and grow from it. But you have to embrace that failure if you're going to get better and stronger. So, I absolutely love it. Well, Coach Michael, it was awesome having you on here. If somebody's hearing this and they're like, man, I would love to have some more conversations with Coach Michael and learn a little bit more about what you have going on, what is the best way for folks to reach out to you?
Email Michael Dill at actioncoach.com.
Awesome. Michael Dill at actioncoach.com.
Michael Dill at actioncoach.com. Phone number 954-675-9536. And you go to my website, businesscoachmichaeldill.com. I also have a YouTube page. So if you're committed to finding me, you'll be able to find me.
All right. Well, Coach Michael, I appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Any last minute wisdom you want to pass on before we jump off?
Wake up every morning, be grateful for what you have. document your gratitude, document your wins. What was your biggest win from the prior day? And then document what's one thing I can do to get better today than I was yesterday. You do that, you get conscious with what you have in this life and you're grateful for it. And you pat yourself on the back for something you did well yesterday. And then you immediately move forward and say, how can I get 1% better today than yesterday? You'll be on the right path.
Fantastic. Anybody that's listening, rewind for the last 45 seconds. Hear that again. Write that down. Pay attention to what Coach Michael's saying. Again, sir, I appreciate you jumping on. Everybody listening, thank you so very much for joining us on the Delegate That podcast. If you liked what you heard, please comment below. Let us know what your favorite part was. Share it with somebody that you think is going to get something out of this, which is basically going to be anybody. So share it with anybody and everybody you can. Reach out to Coach Michael if there's anything he can do to serve you and your business. Thank you again, Coach Michael. Thank you again, everybody listening. We'll see everybody on the next show.
Thank you for having me.